Fast X ended with Dom and Little B right under the dam that Dante just blew up, teasing a grim fate for Dom and his son. But let's not kid ourselves. Just like Jason Momoa's Dante Reyes, Vin Diesel's Dom Toretto, and Leo Abello's Little B are bound to return for Fast and Furious 11. Today on Screen Rant, let's break down every character who's expected to return for the sequel, beginning with literally the biggest star in the franchise. Hey Mia, you better hide your baby. Nah, I'm just playing. You better hide that big-ass forehead though. The very last scenes of Fast X were dedicated to teasing the return of Hobbs. In the film's mid-credits scene, Hobbs follows a lead into an abandoned theater where he finds a phone waiting for him. When Hobbs answers the unknown caller, Dante threatens him over the phone, reminding Hobbs that it was him who killed Dante's father. Hobbs threatens Dante right back, ending the scene with Hobbs effortlessly crushing the phone with one hand. Many have taken this as the final confirmation that the real-life beef between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson has been truly settled. Because even though this was his only scene in the movie, Luke Hobbs is bound to not just return, but have an integral part in the events of Fast 11. Indeed, Dante could mistakenly think that Dom and Little B are out of the picture, leading him to focus on the person who actually killed his father. That said, Hobbs is far from being the only Fast and Furious character teased to return for the sequel. After Dom and Little B's last scene in Fast X, Let and Cipher are seen escaping the black site, but are also exposed to the lethal climate of Antarctica. However, they then see a submarine breaching the ice near them, and when the porthole opens, it's revealed to be Gal Gadot's Giselle Yasher, having arrived to rescue Let and Cipher. Giselle was last seen in Fast and Furious 6, where she seemingly sacrificed herself to save Han, whom she shared a romantic relationship with since Fast 5. Fast forward to Fast X, and Giselle appears without explanation, save for Cipher implying to Let that it's part of her escape plan. This brings us to the next returning characters in Fast 11. Near the beginning of Fast X, Cipher appears in front of Dom and Letty's house in the middle of the night, wounded and claiming that Dante had turned her own operatives against her. Cipher then basically explains the plot of Fast X to Dom and Let, that Dante would be coming after them to avenge his father. When Let and Cipher found each other as captives at the Black Site prison, Let finally got the chance to exact her payback for Cipher manipulating Dom and the crew. Notably, Cipher was also responsible for the death of Elena, the biological mother of Little B. So she took the beating she deserved from Let, especially because Cipher and Let needed each other's help to escape, which they eventually did in the ending. But what about the other members of Dom's crew? Tyrese Gibson's Roman Pierce, Ludacris as Tej Parker, Sung Kang's Han, and Natalie Emanuel's Ramsey were last seen aboard a plane in Fast X. After realizing Dante's plan, they rushed to Dom and Little B's location to try and mount a rescue. However, just as the crew arrived, this was also the moment that Fast X revealed Ames as a secret villain, with Ames shooting down the supposed rescue plane. Yet, just like Dom and Little B, it's very likely that this was the last we've seen of Roman, Tej, Han, and Ramsey. It's certainly possible that they all died, but in the Fast and Furious franchise, it's much more likely that everyone on that downed plane survived and will return for Fast 11. Besides, Han can't die without first reuniting with Giselle, and with almost the entire crew in jeopardy, this brings us to the underutilized members of Dom's family in Fast X. In the middle of Fast X, Mia hands Little B over to her brother, John Cena's Jacob, for safekeeping in Portugal. Mia doesn't appear in Fast X after that, and neither does Brian O'Connor. However, with both Mia and Brian seemingly out of Dante's radar, they could be the key to how the crew can finally get the upper hand against the new villain. After all, since Jacob sacrificed himself to give Dom and Little B a fighting chance against Dante's drivers, Jacob is very unlikely to return to save the day in Fast 11. So, the sequel could finally see not just Mia taking a more central role, but also the long-awaited return of Brian O'Connor to the franchise. He's like gravity, everything just gets pulled to him. No, the only thing that pulled me in was you. Although Brian's return would undoubtedly draw criticism, using CGI to bring back Paul Walker, as Vin Diesel said, I couldn't imagine this saga ending without truly saying goodbye to Brian. Moreover, Brian isn't the only character missing in Fast X who's likely to return to the sequel. When Dante names the main cast of Fast and Furious as targets for his list, he also mentioned Helen Mirren's Queenie Shaw, Michael Rooker's Buddy, and Eva Mendez's agent Monica Fuentes. While Buddy was last seen in F9, Queenie had a small role in Fast X, and Monica's last appearance was in the Fast 5 credit scene. Back in that very last scene of Fast 5, Monica warned the then-villain Hobbs that Letty was still alive. Alongside Buddy, Monica could return in Fast 11 to help both Dom and Hobbs take on the menacing Dante. Meanwhile, Dante may have committed a grave mistake by targeting Queenie, as this next character will have a thing or two to say about her being on Dante's list. Deckard Shaw had an explosive entrance in Fast X, where he is visited in London by the supposedly dead Han, whom Shaw immediately throws to the ground, with Tej, Roman, and Ramsey waiting outside. Han and Shaw settle their differences, but all of them are forced to work together when unknown assailants arrive to try and kill them. In the end, Shaw agrees to help Dom's team, and this is the last time he is seen in Fast X. However, Deckard Shaw is bound to rejoin the good guys as things come to a head in Fast 11. Thanks for watching.